welcome to Rubbing Minds here. And this afternoon we've been having all sorts of interesting conversations. And now we're going to delve into the business of tourism, its importance, and what it takes to build a sustainable brand in today's Nigeria. And for that, we have Chiamaka Obwekwe joining us. She's better known as the Social Prefect. And she was one of the early faces of Nigeria's new generation of travel entrepreneurs. At a time when the idea of traveling around Nigeria for leisure was still largely seen as unusual, Chiamaka began documenting her adventures and showing Nigerians a side of the country many had never seen. And what started as a blog while she was working at Jumia eventually became Social Prefect Tours, an award-winning tourism company that has helped thousands of people discover destinations across Nigeria and Africa. Now, so we caught the attention of the international media, including CNN's Inside Africa, which featured her as part of a generation of Nigerian entrepreneurs using social media to build businesses and create new opportunities. But every successful journey has its detours. Now, the woman we knew as the Social Prefect has also experienced seasons that took her away from the public eye. There have been personal challenges, difficult moments, and a period of stepping back from the visibility that once came naturally with her work. And perhaps that makes this chapter of her story even more interesting, because this isn't just a conversation about tourism anymore. It's about building something from nothing, losing your footing, finding yourself again, and figuring out what the next chapter looks like. Today on Rubbing Minds, we sit down with Chiamaka to talk about the journey that took her from Jumia to becoming one of the most recognizable names in Nigerian tourism, the highs and lows of building a business in Nigeria today, stepping away from the spotlight, navigating difficult seasons, and what it means to return with a different perspective. Chiamaka, it's good to have you here. How are you?
Thank you, Sato. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
The first question I want to throw at you, because I'm familiar with your work.
Oh, thank you.
For this, I did some digging in. This is not new territory for you, tourism. It's something you've always been. You even used to do tours in university.
Yes.
Tell us about the Chiamaka who her mom and brothers used to tease about her always going out.
Yes. Okay, so growing up, I'd always loved to explore, and we didn't go abroad much, but within Nigeria, we traveled a bit, and then I always loved excursions in school. I always used to ask my parents if I could go for them, and my parents always obliged to pay for us to go for them, and I went to places like Badagry, Abeokuta, Olumorok, also visiting places like my village, also Anambra State also exposed me and opened my eyes to what was possible to explore within Nigeria. And my mom is a nurse, so there's this sickness called WT, wandering tendency. So my brothers and my mom used to insult me that I have WT because I always love to wander and always love to explore. I always had a problem sitting down at home and just staying put, but I always love to go up and down, see new places, explore, and do new things. I've always been adventurous from a young age.
And you built such a successful business out of it. And I remember we were chatting earlier before the show started, and I told you some of my friends got their chance to leave the country for the first time during your group tours.
Wow, thank you.
I saw the photos. I'm like, now I'm talking to you. But tell me about setting out to build this company. You started it was a little thing on the side while you were in paid employment.
Yeah.
And then what happened to paid employment that made you go into this full time?
Okay. All right. So Social Prefect Tour started in 2015. Actually, our first tour was to Lekki Conservation Center in July 11, 2015. I'll never forget. Yes. So we actually started by inviting people to just come on these trips. In fact, that first trip, I didn't even put a price tag to it. I just put it out on social media and asked people to join the trip. And on that day, we saw like 10 people, and I was so excited. And we had it was a blast. And from then on, we did more and more, and it really blew up. I think I remember the one we did back then when I was still in Jumia, and I was running Social Prefect Tours by the side, and we had a trip to Badagry, and about 70 people showed up. Out of those were my colleagues, church members, friends, people on social media that put it out. I put out the call to come on, and this started out because I was really passionate about it. I've always been passionate about exploring, and that grew to you know, what people also saw on my page. I was always posting about places I was going to, and then I started a blog. So from the blog, people started asking if they could join me on those tours. Whenever I post about places like that I was exploring, like Enugu, Bauchi, or Ikogosi Warm Springs in Ekiti, Idore Hills in Ondo, and several other places. People will always ask, can I join you there? Can I follow you? Or when next are you going? Please, is this trip open to other people? And then I said, okay, maybe this is a great idea to actually start something, to start doing group trips, you know, where strangers come together on set dates and go for trips together. You know, people have always wanted to travel, but they are scared of several things. In Nigeria, scared of insecurity. There's no one to go with. There's no set logistic company that can arrange this for them. So I said, why can't I be that solution? And that's how we started basically. So for Jumia, right, I used to work in Jumia back then from 2013 to 2015, and there was a mass retrenchment in 2015 where about 100 of us were affected, and it pushed me to actually go into it full time. So without that retrenchment, I think I would have still been working back there. So yeah.
But let's look at the impact of your job, your business, and looking at how much tourism can do for a country's image. There are many places that feed off tourism, that tourism is a major part of the economy. Tell us about the impact of that and what it can do for Nigeria, for example, and how it to tap into that a bit more.
Okay, Nigerians really need to tap into tourism, because tourism is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Tourism is not just entertainment like Nigerians see it. Tourism is not just, I don't want to mention names, but it's not just about concerts, about festivals, but tourism goes beyond that. Tourism is the woman selling food on the road. Tourism is in front of the tourist attraction, the small local artisan or the gift shop selling local printed goods. Tourism is about the people, the tour guides, the local guides, the fishermen helping you to see a new perspective. Tourism is about all the people that bring together, all the people that make it work, right? So tourism goes beyond just entertainment, like I had said earlier. Tourism is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and Nigerians really need to tap into it. There's so much that can be done for tourism. Like you have countries like the UAE, for example, right? See Dubai. Years ago, it was just a desert, but now it brings in so many visitors from around the world. Hundreds of thousands, millions of visitors yearly going to Dubai just to see and it's artificial, really. What is it? Water parks, theme parks, skyscrapers, deserts. Nigerians, we have deserts in Nigeria. We have deserts in Yobe. We have waterfalls. We have at least over 20 waterfalls in Nigeria. We have Ohum waterfall. We have Erinjesha waterfall. We have Ikogosi Warm Springs. We have Idore Hills. We have Adoawaye. We have so many beautiful attractions, but there are so many challenges in Nigeria that make it hard for tourism to grow. And for tourism to grow, these challenges need to be fixed, or at least managed, right? First of all, the infrastructure problem. Roads to these places and access to many of these tourist attractions are not great. Roads need to be fixed. Access to the tourist attractions need to be better, need to become better, right? And need to be fixed as well. And then also in the tourist attractions themselves, several things there need to be working. For example, right, in a place like Lekki Conservation Center in Lagos, I don't see why there can't be things like, they've done great with the longest canopy walk in Africa, but why can't we add a zip line, for example? See people travel all the way to South Africa, people travel all the way to Botswana to do bungee jumping, zip line. Why don't you have all those things in Nigeria? Extra attractions in all these places that can drop you there. Cable cars in Idore Hills, for example. Not everybody may want to climb the 1,000 steps that it takes you to get there. Not everybody may want to climb up to seven levels of waterfalls in Erinjesha waterfalls, for example. It's I'm telling you, right? And it's also not very safe. They haven't done those places up very well. They are still in their natural state, and many of them are not safe to explore, right? So I don't know why there hasn't been things done yet to make these places more attractive to visitors. So Nigeria still needs to tap into its tourism gold mine, right, and make these places great for people to come and attract visitors. And even Nigerians need to start exploring Nigeria and tell better stories about Nigeria.
Let's look at this. We're seeing you. This is scuba diving. Where was this?
Oh, this was in Egypt.
Oh, Egypt?
Yes.
Impressive. Look, I follow your page from time to time, and a lot of my friends share your page, and you're very expressive on your page. And I also must tell you, great dancing skills.
Thank you.
I've seen those too. But there've also been periods where you've had a quiet season. You know, is it something that you are happy to share with us, or you became a bit less visible? What happened during that time? We weren't seeing Social Prefect the way we know how to be. What went wrong?
Okay, so I'm a very vocal person, and I'm very expressive, and I also like to share because I believe that our stories are powerful. Storytelling is a very powerful tool to help other people, and I believe that when you share your stories, you can inspire another person. Even if that story is going to touch only one person, it's great to do, right? So in 2018, right, I went through a divorce. And I was also diagnosed with a mental health. I also had a mental health diagnosis, right? And this costs a lot of, I battled depression, and it was really, it was a downtime for me, right? And it just cost me to step back a bit, to reflect on the journey so far. And it also made me know that not every time success is about visibility, right? But sometimes success is also about taking a step back and rebuilding and growing again. Even taking a journey of healing. Many times healing is not linear. Healing is a journey, and in your healing journey, you need to take some steps back sometimes to later grow and reconnect back with what you've been doing. So that's what I did, right? That was a difficult period, but it also taught me a lot, and I'm grateful for the lessons I learned from that period.
Yeah, and look, really sorry to hear that you went through that, and it couldn't have been easy, especially because you're a public-facing person. You're run an interactive business.
It was actually a bit public.
It was public, and you run like I said, you run an interactive business.
Yeah.
Really, tell me about how you work through that. What, for example, the importance of your faith also was in the period for you, because I see that you're a bit vocal about that as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about the tools you use to get through that process.
Okay, so I think the only tool that I would say I used, or the two major tools, were God and family. My family really came through for me. My family is big on love and on acceptance. They didn't even make me feel bad once for having a divorce. In fact, it felt so normal. My dad actually, showed up for me big time, and my mom as well. They took care of me. They made sure that I didn't feel like I had let the family down or like I was a failure. They didn't make me feel that like I had done anything that, was abnormal or that brought shame to the family. They made me feel confident again in love and in acceptance and in family values. And then also God, being saved and also having faith played a major role in my life, because God really saved me and came through for me, and He made me to hold my head up high again and go through those seasons of those down seasons and overcome them.
And now you are sitting here still ebullient, and so we really like that. But for people to learn from your story, and not just obviously your great business acumen, but personal stories like this, if you could, nobody really wants to go back in time, but what do you think you could have done differently?
Okay, so first of all, what I could have done differently, not to go into like so many details, right? But what I could have done differently was to study or to be intentional about knowing who the person was before entering into the marriage, right? That's very important, and that's very key. A lot of people enter into marriages. Love is not enough. Love is not the final say or like the wherewithal. When it comes to marriage, you have to also use your head. You have to be wise. You have to study emotional intelligence. You have to know, is this person a kind person? And so many other factors, right? You have to also study finances and several other things. There are so many things that make a marriage great, or that, even are the components that make a great marriage. And, for your marriage to be successful, you have to get into those things. Ask yourself difficult questions. And I didn't ask myself difficult questions. I was just swooned over my head, young and in love, and I just wanted to, be married. But that was not what I should have done. Looking back now, I should have studied better and, be more mature about my decision. But I don't regret it, because I learned a lot. And, he was a good person. None of us were bad people. It's just that the situation didn't work. And I'm grateful to be here where I am today with new knowledge and with new wisdom and as a new person.
That's great. I mean, lessons are important, tough the way we get them sometimes, but they're important to know.
Yes.
What's happening at Social Prefect at the moment? What are you working on?
Okay, so many exciting things actually. We just actually completed a tour, our largest tour ever. We were 180 people.
Where to?
Actually, it was in Lagos, so people flew from all over the world for a 50th birthday, and we coordinated that, and it was such a large one. It was our biggest yet for at a go, right? We'd actually done 100 to Ethiopia in the past, and then we've done 40 to Mauritius, 50 to another location. I think to Jordan, to Egypt, we've done about 20, 30. We've taken large groups before to different locations around the world and in Africa, but that was actually the largest we've done in a while. And so we're focusing more on groups like that, and also corporates. We do corporate team bonding, and we're focusing on serving corporates for their team bondings, their retreats, and ensuring that they have a great experience in the countries that we do tours to, and within Nigeria as well. And then also we're focusing on telling better stories about Nigeria and ensuring that tourism grows in our own little way.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Chiamaka, for coming on Rubbing Minds today. It was great to learn from you. And thank you for sharing and going deep and being vulnerable with us as well. And thank you for watching Rubbing Minds today. It returns next week. I'll see you then. I'm Musato Edokbayi.